Were you counting down? I just saw countdown on your screen.
Ron, let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples here at the Edmonton Journal. I'm with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, countdown man, how are you?
That's my first major mistake of the night on a it was a great
It can only go up from here.
That is not the truth. It could go down.
I have faith.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. The Oilers lose another one, Kurt. This is I counted it up earlier today, the 8th time they've given up a lead. 8th time. And we'll get into a little bit more detail about that later. But it's frustrating for fans, I know for sure. I thought they were going to get through it. I thought they were going to get through it tonight.
Yeah,
because they were playing well. Like they scored that third period goal, right? And then I thought, okay, they're going to win this. That's what I thought, because they looked good in that moment. They weathered. They weren't getting any shots, but they got 3 straight 5-alarm shots in the third period, and they put one in finally.
Yeah,
and it looked like they were going to win this game, Kurt. And then same old, same old.
Yeah, I saw this loss different than the loss the night before. The night before, and I agree, the end result was the same, and the root causes of the result were the same. But I saw a different team playing for the Oilers tonight. I thought there was way more bite in their game. I saw more determination in their game. The mistakes that I saw tonight were mental ones, I felt. And I thought overall, the Oilers played a better game, certainly at least in stretches, than they did in St. Louis the night before. And keeping in mind that this is the second of back-to-backs on the road, you're playing on fumes at the end of the game. You absolutely want to win this. Nobody likes to lose, including me. But at least they got a damn point out of this one. I mean, they should have had 2 in St. Louis. So to rescue 1 out of this game, now you get to go home. You get a full day off, and then you get a couple of days of practice before you have to take on Colorado. So I just
shame.
don't think, you know how they used to say on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other.
Sure.
I say that about these 2 losses. I do see them a little bit differently, although again, the root cause and end result were no different.
Such a shame that they didn't get that point out of St. Louis, because they kind of earned 2 points. So the grade A shots in this game were 16-11 for the Stars, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 9-6 for the Stars. So the Stars were the better team overall in this game. A lot of that came on the power play for the Stars. I think they had 6 power play chances to the Oilers 3.
Although, except for one line, the Oilers were no hell at 5-on-5 either. So,
yeah, the Stars certainly had one line that dominated this game. Let's get at it, Kurt. 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers. What's your good thing?
My good thing is the 1-0 goal. Not only was it nice to score the first goal and have a lead on the road in the second of back-to-backs, but what I really want to talk about is how hot the guy who assisted on the goal is these days. And the quality of the goal, because it really was high quality. It was Vasily Podkolzin with his second goal of the season from Jack Roslovic and Evan Bouchard. The play starts with Evan Bouchard along the wall in his own zone, headman pass up to Roslovic. Roslovic goes up the right-hand side, and he's not bearing down on any old defenseman, just a member of Team Canada. Big Hartley's there on the left-hand side. But Jack Roslovic, who this is way more of a player than I thought we were getting, I've got to say. In this particular case, kind of swallows Harley up in the play and leans into him and essentially wins a board battle with the man who out heights him and outweights him and outmeans him. Yet at the same time was able to use his left hand to hold this defender back and throw a perfect pass with his right hand only into the slot. Vasily Podkolzin coming right down the gut like a locomotive. Bam! It's in. 1-0. Really nice play, subtly nice play on Bouchard to get the puck up the wall. Tremendous play by Jack Roslovic to hold off that quality of a defender and make that kind of a pass while you're still tied up with said defender. And then the finish by Vasily Podkolzin, who I thought was really trying actively to shoot more tonight, and I wish he'd do that more because he has a great shot, and at some point the law of averages is going to work in his favor. Great goal, great start to the game. I only wish the game ended that great, but it was one of the highlights of the night for me.
Yeah, keep shooting Podkolzin because he does have a good shot. How many shots did he have? Just
He
two
had,
on net, but
he had just 2 on net, but he was firing.
Yeah, I have to say that the official scoring in Dallas is atrocious. They didn't count a lot of shots that were shots. They counted other things, like every time the Stars put it on net from outside, they seem to give them a tip from 6 feet. I didn't see these tips. Could be my screen. Maybe they know something I don't. But it was just like it happened 3 or 4 times. It's like, if you're looking for expected goals based on their tabulation of the game, it could be a little off.
Well, even listening to Jack Michaels on the broadcast, he even a couple times said that shot hasn't registered so far. So I think he saw a little bit at least of what you were seeing.
Yeah, I mean the official score, it's damn lies and statistics, right? Like it's not easy to grade a hockey game, even just the simple things like what is a shot and what isn't a shot.
Yeah,
it's not always that clear.
No,
like was the shot going to miss the net? There was a play where McDavid took the puck to the net, for instance, in the third period, and the goalie, I think it was on the power play, and the goalie came out and kind of thwarted him in the crease. And it's kind of indeterminate whether he got a piece of the puck or not. But this is clearly, to me, like a grade A shot. The goalie comes out and essentially stomps your chance. You're in alone on him, and there's no official shot recorded for that play. So,
well, to split hairs, I fully believe that you don't need a shot on net to have a grade A chance, right? Like it's
for it to be a chance, you don't, but for it to be a shot, you do. Like
yeah,
you get it
but I'm talking about chances. I mean, right. It's often a chance is way more dangerous than a shot. So,
like I just say, how do you know it didn't hit part of the goalie? Like, is there some definitive camera angle? Like it's almost impossible to tell.
It's often a game of inches and micro inches, right?
So anyway, this applies to all stats involving hockey because it's such a fast pace. There's a lot of error in this. So people do their best to get it right. They don't always do so. My good thing will be 2 scoring plays by Leon Draisaitl. We have never seen, I guess Jari Kurri was this kind of scorer, but I don't know. I'll give it to Kurri. Since Jari Kurri, we have not seen this kind of score with the Edmonton Oilers. The shot that he scored on the power play, first of all, was a fantastic play. It was they were going to get the puck out, and Bouchard was able to knock it down.
Great keep
and keep the puck in the blue line. Darnell Nurse did the same thing, knocked down a puck and got it on net for a good shot in the third. I want to add quickly, Bouchard did it. It's a tough play to make. Could possibly, if he makes it wrong, maybe gets a piece of the puck and it flops to center ice, could be a breakaway. That's the last thing Bouchard needs. He actually had one and chased it down. He knocks it down. He puts it over to McDavid, who centers it to Roslovic. And Roslovic just makes a fantastic play then. He could be shooting. You'd expect him to shoot. But he puts it right into Leon Draisaitl's wheelhouse. As if he's been on that power play the entire 6 years when it's been the best thing in the world.
Right.
Man, is he ever... Like, I thought Tomasek was actually doing a pretty creditable job. Though I did notice in the last few games he was on the power play, the other players seemed to be freezing him out in terms of puck movement. Not moving the puck to Tomasek. They don't seem to have that hesitancy with Roslovic at all. He took that pass and he made a perfect puck and he made a perfect pass into Draisaitl's wheelhouse. Leon Draisaitl's, I don't know if he's ever scored one where his feet were that outside.
The goal line.
Below the goal line.
Yeah.
He's been on the goal line. Like this might be the most extreme angle he's ever scored from.
His ass was almost on the boards.
Yeah. And his feet were definitely below the goal line, and the puck was above the goal line. I mean, it wouldn't be possible to go in if it wasn't, except because you can't make a banana shot, like a banana kick. And is the banana kick where they curve it, or is that where they kick it over their head? I think I got the soccer terminology wrong. In soccer, anyway, they can bend it like Beckham into the net from the corner, but you can't do that in hockey. You can't spin the puck like that. But so it was above the goal line, and he just hammers it in. What a goal! What a shooter! What a brilliant play! And what a treat for us to be able to see that.
Oh yeah. But that was just one of the highlights of the night from 29 when it came to putting the puck in the net.
The shootout goal was the next one. I don't think I've seen him make this move before in the shootout. He's perfectly suited to doing it. He pulled the old Peter Forsberg, where you come in, you go across the crease, fake to your forehand, and then you pull it back onto your backhand, wide around the goalie, and tap it in. And it takes unreal skill to execute that kind of play in real time in an NHL game against an NHL goalie who had just poke checked Connor McDavid brilliantly on his chance. But what a skill play. And it gave me hope there for a second that the Oilers were gonna win this game in the shootout, but not.
That second goal by Leon gave me Mario Lemieux replays because Mario had that set of hands and that reach, and that's what Leon has going for him on that particular goal. We all know how great his hands are, but he also has the reach where he could outreach the outstretched pad of the Dallas goaltender. So that kind of made that one for me. Quickly going back to the other goal that you mentioned, I think the thing I like best about Roslovic on this line so far is, for the first time in memory, because we talked a lot about, line mates that Leon has had over the years during last night's podcast. What occurred to me tonight was, for the first time in years, he has a winger who doesn't defer to him.
Right? No,
this is a case where, he's confident. He'll take the puck and shoot it himself and not think, I should really pass it to the big guy. No, it's like he's, I really like that about him. There's a confidence about him with the puck on his stick that seems to make that trio click. And I'm more excited with every game that I see it.
Yeah. I'm just going to say it. Roslovic, he is such a dynamic attacker and so self-confident that he reminds me, in terms of his style of play, he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame like this player. That's not going to happen at this point of his career. But his style of play right now and the confidence with which he attacks and kind of that chutzpah, he seems to have it. Like he goes for it. And he reminds me a little of Glenn Anderson. And it's just fantastic to see Roslovic get this opportunity to play with a great player like Draisaitl and to show all he's got on the attack. And I don't he's probably, for sure he's played with other great players in the past, definitely. But he's never played with a player as good as Leon Draisaitl. And what's amazing is, you're right, Kurt, that's kind of the royal jelly that you always saw in Anderson and Messier, right? Like, those guys, they thought the world of themselves. Rightly so, in terms of hockey players. They were just out of this world good. And Roslovic right now has that same kind of self-confidence and swagger on the ice. Evander Kane had it in a different way.
Yes, he did.
Not in terms of his physicality and his ability to dominate in that way, but Roslovic, in terms of his skill, he has that swagger. And man, did the Oilers ever need that? Mm-hmm. Because right now, as good as McDavid and Draisaitl are, they just seem tired. They just seem like they've been here, done that, got the T-shirt, and they're going through the motions on a certain level. And so Roslovic is picking them up, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I agree. It's so far, who knows how long it'll last. Maybe this is a good 10-game run for him, but so far, man, what a find. Lock him up.
Yeah, I mean, in his best season so far, he's got 22 goals, right? He's been in the NHL. He was taken in the same draft year as, let me just see here. Is it Connor McDavid's draft year?
Yeah, but he's never gotten a lot of power play time. I mean, maybe this guy is a 30-goal scorer if he gets power play time.
Yeah, so he started off with a pretty good Winnipeg team. Why in Columbus wouldn't he have got power play time?
Yeah.
He must, because that was not a very good team. He was there for 4 years. Then he was with the Rangers for a cup of coffee. And Carolina had a really good team last year. I mean, and again, his even strength scoring last year was, I think, 68th in the NHL for forwards. So he was an outstanding attacker last year. So what we're seeing, I mean, it's statistically isn't a mirage.
He's just with better players and in better circumstances,
Hope he
and making
keeps
the
it up.
most of it.
Hope he keeps it up, because this it's in the category could be effing huge if he can't. Because when Hyman comes back, right, then
just gonna say, now you leave Hyman. Now you leave Hyman with Connor, and you leave Roslovic with Draisaitl, and Bob's your uncle.
Although Mangiapane had a really nice, I thought, a pretty good game with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins. In fact, he made a play that could have been a good thing. His play on the third goal for the Oilers, winning the puck on the back check.
Yep.
That kind of hustle, then just driving it right in the end and making this great hook pass back to Nuge, who set up McDavid. What a great play by Andrew Mangiapane.
Yeah, it was a great sequence.
Yeah, he's holding his own for the Oilers. He's been okay, but Roslovic has been outstanding. It's been like, who is this guy?
Yep.
Kurt, your bad thing.
I hate to throw this number at everybody, but that was the 6th time this season that the Edmonton Oilers have blown a 2-goal lead. The 6th time. I think it's the 8th lead they've blown. Did you mention, David, earlier tonight? The 8th lead in all that they've blown? But it is 6 2-goal leads that they've blown now. That takes some doing. Like that's not easy to actually accomplish, to blow. And I don't mean that facetiously. Like, count the ways you can blow that many leads when you're only, a dozen and a half games into the season. Like, it's crazy. This is a team that desperately needs a reset. As I mentioned, they're going to have a day off here and then a couple of days of practice before they play Colorado. I thought they played better tonight despite the result, but they need to figure some things out, because this team is better than that. I was talking to another friend of mine today, and he was asking me, what's wrong with the Oilers? And I said, well, I said, this will sound like an oversimplification, but I said, they're just not playing well. They are not a bad team. They're a good team that's playing bad. And I really believe that. But they've got to sort it out here. The other thing I think is they look tired.
Kurt, I really think it comes down to fatigue is a factor, right? Mm-hmm. Fatigue's huge. When you include the 2 runs to the cup with the kind of the schedule they've had so far and will continue to have in this baton crazy march across the two continents so they can fit in the Olympic Games, which I'm all in favor of. But man, they're cramming the games in. So fatigue is part of it. Fatigue is also part of it for most of the teams. The Oilers, I just think their top 4 defense has been in disarray, and the partners kind of take turns. The 4 players take turns having bad games, and their numbers are way off. They're leaking way more grade A shots. This group of defensemen than last year. It's not even close. They're leaking, and they're not creating as much on the attack. They are not sharp, the 4 defensemen, and they should be, because they're all really good players, and I think they will be. I've seen enough from each of them in the past, and enough from each of them this year to turn it around. But they are I think the fundamental issue on the team.
Well, I think your observation is right on the money. I see the defense situation this year exactly the same way you do. I've seen Darnell Nurse be really good and really bad, right? And I think we could say that for all top 4 guys. But, picking up on your point, I do have a bit of an issue on deployment here, because who has been the Oilers' most consistent defenseman this season? Brett Kulak.
Well, I think Ekholm overall has been their best defenseman.
But he's had a run of games that were rancid. I mean, you and I scored those games. They were bad.
Yeah, but Kulak and Emerson, I would say, Kurt, for the last 10 games, Kulak has been their most consistent and good defenseman.
Yeah, so
but he started out pretty tough.
Well, here's my point, though, Dave, because you're talking about those defensemen not playing well and looking tired. I agree, but tonight, here's some numbers for you. Evan Bouchard, 25-40. T.S. Ekholm, 21-34. Nurse, 22-55. Wallman, 25-05. Brett Kulak only played 15-03.
He should have played more.
They're running the other 4 guys into the ground when you've got a guy like Brett Kulak who would be a top 4 defenseman on 15 other NHL teams.
I haven't criticized the coach on this but I really felt it tonight because it just came through so clearly in overtime. These players were totally gassed and couldn't perform. And they were McDavid, like the defensemen, the forwards, they were all playing way too much and they were gassed. The only guy who looked good in overtime was Bouchard, who made it a kind of a series of super plays to salvage the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
He made he stopped the 2-on-1, and then they went up the ice, and McDavid and Draisaitl had to get off. So what he did was he passed the puck back to Skinner, allowing this line change to get
really
all
smart.
these exhausted players off the ice. Like that was really good.
I don't know what your scoring showed tonight, but Brett Kulak, according to Natural Stat Trick, only had one high danger chance against 5-on-5.
He and Regula kept a clean sheet at even strength. They didn't make one mistake between them on a grade A shot. They weren't out for a grade A shot against. You didn't even notice them. They just went out there and played their game.
Which
and they
just backs up our point, right? Yeah.
They should have played 5, and maybe even in the third period, because they weren't on the ice for the 2 goals against, which is my bad thing. So let's get to that. I think the fundamental error on the really crucial goal against the Oilers are up 3-1, and the big mistake is Leon Draisaitl, and it's not the turnover, because when the turnover happens, there's still 5 Oilers below the puck. But they're breaking out of their own zone. Podkolzin and Roslovic are ahead. Roslovic on his backhand, and Draisaitl passes the puck up to Roslovic. And the Roslovic, my initial take is that Draisaitl missed the pass, but it's a backhand pass, and Roslovic has to reach for it a wee bit. It's hard to take passes on the backhand, but he's an NHL player. I'll say both players screwed up on it, but to me that's not the issue at all, because again, you've just cleared the puck essentially out of your own zone. There's nothing bad that's happened. You just have to regroup and get ready for the other team to come at you. But instead of doing that, Leon decides to charge up the ice, and I don't understand that decision. Roslovic and Podkolzin are already there pressuring the defenseman. If anyone's going to forecheck the D who have the puck at that point, those 2 players are in perfect position. But Leon decides he's going to rush up the ice, and he does so after Roslovic. He's going after Roslovic has missed the puck. It looks to me, even if he isn't, he doesn't turn on a dime and get back. He just cruises up the ice, and now when the puck is quickly turned over the other direction, it's a 3-on-2 the other direction. And I honestly don't think Roslovic or Podkolzin had time to react. After the turnover, Leon was the guy who was back. He needed to stay back, and he didn't. So now it's a 3-on-2, and the puck's in the net.
My subtle difference with you on that take, and I think you and I discussed this before we started the podcast tonight, is I think a little more of that blame is on Roslovic. I think that is a receivable puck. I don't consider that a turnover by Draisaitl. I think that puck is absolutely receivable. And I think when you see Roslovic's body language, when the puck goes by him, he knows it. I think you can see it in his body language. And so I don't really disagree with much of your assessment of the play after that. But what I'll say is if Roslovic receives that pass, none of the rest of the bad stuff happens.
Oh, for sure. And you could well be right, Kurt. It's kind of hard to tell, like, honestly, in watching the replay, who to score those where the puck looks like it either hits the stick or could have hit the stick. And who's at fault then? So if the player doesn't have his stick on the ice, it's clearly the player then who he's got to have his stick on the ice to receive the pass. But, I would say it's like a 50-50, and I can't really say for sure. So in that case, I think, well, both of them are to blame for the play. But you might be right that it's mostly on Roslovic, Kurt. I'm not saying that's not the case.
Either way, I think this is really good analysis of the goal against, right? And I think that's part of the fun that we have in this podcast is we do have the time to sit down, watch the video a few times, and really ask ourselves, so what really happened here? Because I don't know about you, but when I used to watch hockey games, I used to think things happened and they hadn't. And until you actually break these plays down frame by frame, sometimes you go, oh, so That's what happened there. I just think it's a really good discussion to have.
Takes a long time. Like, and some people will say to me after a game, you and I must have been watching a different game.
Hmm.
And I say to them, you are completely correct.
Yes.
You watched the game in real time. I watched the game, and then I went over the video of the key plays 15 to 20 times each.
Yeah.
And yes, we have a different impression of it because of that. And I'm not saying like I always get it right, because I don't.
No,
My
me
analysis
neither.
isn't always correct, but it's my effort to
Yeah.
understand the game.
Yeah.
It's what and now when I don't do that, Kurt, I don't feel like I've really watched the game in any kind of, like,
Yeah.
I don't think I understand what's happened on the ice. It's kind of fun.
Since we're in the weeds with this a little bit anyway, let's continue on for 60 more seconds on scoring,
Okay.
because you and I've had this conversation. I used to have this with our old friend Bruce as well. I'm fully aware that when I'm watching a game and not scoring it like I was tonight, that I'm seeing the game differently than you are. It is not the same game. When I score a game, when I'm charting a game and going over all the video, I spot all kinds of stuff that I didn't see in real time. But when you're just sitting in your living room on your couch watching the hockey game, it is a different view. Just like it's a different view ice level than it is up in the press box. And it's a fascinating process. And I've often had cult readers often say, you sure didn't see the game I saw. I've heard that exact same thing. But you're right, it's not. We do watch the game differently, and you're right, it doesn't mean that we're necessarily right more times than the readers are. But it is an entirely different process, and you do have some appreciation for what video coaches must experience for the assorted NHL teams.
All right, numbers, Kurt. What is your numero?
Well, I thought that the Oilers' second pairing really had a rough one tonight. And I was going to save the Kulak observation for that, but I'm glad that we got it out when we did anyway. But Jake Wallman missed most of training camp. And not only do I think he has looked slightly off since he came back, but members of the organization have said that he's not all the way back yet. So when you play him, 25 minutes, that's maybe more than he can handle yet. Maybe his conditioning isn't to the point where he can do that. I'm not sure what the excuse for Darnell Nurse is, but so the natural stat trick 5-on-5 numbers for this pair tonight.
Okay.
Get a load of this. High danger chances for both of them. 1-4. 10 against.
Oh,
Meanwhile, Brett Kulak was on for 1.
Kurt, I had, as I said, Kulak kept a clean sheet. He and his partner, they weren't on for 1, but I had
not for a grade A, yeah.
Nurse making at even strength. Nurse making 5 mistakes, and Wallman making 6 major mistakes each. So of the 10, Wallman was 6 for 10 and Nurse was 5 for 10. And the one, I was going to include this in my bad thing. We got going on the other stuff.
Just occurred to me too. Go ahead. Yeah.
The winning goal was Wallman. Like, again, you don't have the tying goal, excuse me. You don't have to pinch up in the neutral zone necessarily. I don't hate the play because there was McDavid was covering for him, and he probably sensed that. But that's what starts this mess. Is he loses a battle? He's slow he loses the battle. If you're going to do it, win the battle at least.
Yeah.
And he lost it. And then Kurt, he dragged his ass back slowly to his own zone. He's thinking McDavid and Nurse.
I think he was bagged, right?
Listen to Jason Strudwick. Mr. Wallman, never trust a forward. And McDavid didn't play it badly. He was kind of over-aggressive going towards the shooter, but that's not what caused the goal against. It was Wallman going slow. And then Nuge is back. Nuge comes back, dutiful Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but he misses Heiskanen. It's
completely.
The game is fast. And if a defenseman had been in McDavid's place, I don't think he would have rushed over to the shooter like McDavid did. It created a little chaos on the ice, and I think it confused Nugent Hopkins somewhat. And he got watching all of this. And Heiskanen slips in behind past Nugent Hopkins. And there's Wallman yelling at Nuge, cover him.
He was
The guy I
pointing
should have,
at
if
him.
I had been hustling back to my own
Yeah.
end, I would have covered him. But could you please cover him? And it was Jake Wallman is a really fine hockey player.
Yeah.
He's having a pretty rough patch though. Like he came back, his first few games were good,
Mhm.
but he's been in the thick of it in terms of making a lot of mistakes since then.
That's why I
And
bring
that
up
was,
the conditioning.
yeah, I hear you, Kurt.
Right.
He looked zonked in that moment.
Yep.
He needed to get on his horse and get back to his own zone, but
Yep.
they don't
And
always do that.
I might suggest you're perhaps being a tad generous to our one of our favorite Oilers in history, because I think Ryan Nugent Hopkins, if his head is on a swivel on that play, yeah, it's Miro Heiskanen, one of the greatest defensemen in the NHL. Yeah, if your head's on a swivel, you've got to see him leaving the point, right?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
He was puck watching and he missed the player coming in behind him. And it happens to the best of them because Nuge has become like, in terms of like a Selke candidate, Ryan Nugent Hopkins to me is a Selke candidate.
Incredibly smart, reliable defensive player, right? Yeah, I agree.
At this point, he and Henrique are the best defensive forwards on the Oilers, and it is not close. Mm-hmm. Like you can, whoever else you want to talk, it's not close. They're the two best. All right, that's my thought. My number. Okay, I was going to go back to Wallman here, Mangiapane, and Podkolzin. They got caught out in overtime. Yeah. And my number, they were out. One of them was out for like 158, or a minute 58, minute 56, and a minute 50 between the three of them. So for almost 2 minutes, they were out there. But you know what? I thought, good for you guys. You're playing this well. You're exhausted. You're tired. But you're playing smart, fundamental defensive hockey. You're not over pursuing the puck. You're not chasing the puck, which is, I saw all night, certain players, Darnell Nurse, chasing the puck all night behind the net and, throw the ball, he'll chase it. And these guys didn't do that. They kept their defensive triangle in front of the net. When someone was in a dangerous shooting position, they recognized it and moved towards it. They kept him to the outside, and I don't believe they did not get one grade A shot during that entire 2 minutes against those three players. So I'm going to score that a huge win for them. They hung in there. The only grade A shot in overtime against was when McDavid turned over the puck and Heiskanen went down and then moved out in front of Skinner and almost put it in about 30 seconds into the overtime for against Edmonton for Dallas. But these guys they impressed me, and I thought, okay, here's defensive discipline. This is how it's done. They should show this to all the players who head out in overtime. Don't take so many risks, especially in your own zone, and you can hang in there even when you're super tired and fatigued.
Yeah, they really personified the old saying, bent but didn't break, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Which NFL defense was that? It's been used forever.
I'm not an NFL fan, so I can't answer it for you. So yeah.
Oh, I used to be. I think they used to talk about one of the Miami Dolphins teams being that way, but
I stopped watching the NFL after Joe Montana retired.
Isn't that funny, Kurt? How as you get older,
yeah,
you like when I was a young guy, I followed Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL. I could name probably all the players on all the teams, and gradually it all slips away. You give up on the NFL. Most people still love the NFL. Like, we're the exception here. Give up on Major League Baseball. Life takes over. You got a lot to do, and so following one sport is hard enough. I mean, now I follow the one sport as a professional paid writer. So, but that takes a lot of intensity and a lot of time. I can't imagine having to follow all these other sports. Although I do follow, I am a fan of one team. I'm a fan of Manchester United, which I kind of follow just as a, I don't even watch the games. I just watch the highlights, and I really like that. What about you? Do you have any other sports that you follow?
Well, I used to be a hardcore baseball fan, and I watched all of the Blue Jays playoff run. Major League Baseball kind of wrecked it for me from primarily, I guess, because I was a Montreal Expos fan. But I loved the game itself and coached baseball and managed baseball, played senior baseball. So
Cool.
it's a great sport. But I had gotten away from it until the Blue Jays sucked me back in this fall. So,
Alrighty. Kurt, any final thoughts on the
yeah,
game?
I have two more little things I just want to put out there. And they're
Okay.
two players that have been criticized a fair bit this year, and I think fairly so. But I just want to point out a moment from each of them tonight. There was an early first period giveaway by Evan Bouchard right at the blue line. And I'm sure everybody in Oil Country was going, oh, God, here we go again. But to his credit, David, Evan Bouchard busted his ass and got back and disturbed the play enough that there wasn't a quality shot on goal on the play. And, we kind of alluded to this on the podcast last night. He's going to have giveaways. When you play that much, when you have the puck that much, you're going to be good. I think what we really want is when you do have a giveaway, look like you give a damn. And he did on that play. He looked mad and he willed himself back. So good on him. Good on him. The other thing I want to mention is this was in the second period. And Big Bischel, great big defenseman for the band. He's a nasty piece of work, isn't he?
He is. I like him. Wish he was an Oiler.
Took a dirty chip out of Matt Savoy, out of the rookie. Like it was a borderline hit at best, and not a half beat didn't go by before Trent Frederick jumped on top of Bischel and plunked him down on the ice. I really like that when one of your veteran players who is supposed to be your truculent, tough guy fighter, when you see a big rough and tumble Dallas defenseman, take liberties with your rookie winger, that's when a veteran like Frederick needs to step in, and he did. More please, but I liked that sequence.
I loved it. I noted it in my game grades. I loved Frederick's standing up for the kid then too. I thought it was fantastic. I also like that he didn't go too far.
Yeah.
We
still got a power play out of it. Yeah.
Kane would have gone too far, roughed him up more and gotten a penalty. So that was what you loved about Evander Kane in some ways, but it also had some negative consequences.
Yeah, you took the good with the bad, didn't you? Yeah.
Lots happened in that game. It was a much more. I'll say this, Kurt. You're talking about the different vibe of the two games. This was a way more exciting game. This was a fun game to watch, and it's been a while since like the Montreal game that there was a really exciting game. This game had that energy, and it was fun to watch.
And you can tell these two teams don't like one another after all those playoff games against one another, and that makes for a better matchup too.
It was interesting to see who Gulutzan hard matched his top line against. Not the McDavid line and not Ekholm and Bouchard, but against Draisaitl, Nurse. And that's exactly who I would pick on too if I was an opposing coach. Because those guys are impatient. And you will get them sooner or later. That's my last nasty little observation, Kurt. All right. Thanks for talking tonight, Kurt.
It's always a pleasure.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.